one of the reasons we're here is to captivate, to have kids want to have stories in their lives and to embrace the joy of being with stories in whatever form it happens to be, reading, listening to, telling themselves. You want to be a part of that, and it's gratifying.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another You May Contribute a Verse. I'm Josh Munkin, co-host alongside my good old buddy Brenna Jennerette and my other good old buddy, podcast wizard John Seymour, for yet another delightful conversation where we not only wrestle with technical glitches and challenges, but also manage to have a wonderful conversation. We are talking today to Karyn Friedman-Everham, who is the author of 2024's Otter Oughta Know, which is a very tricky thing when you're trying to do a recorded take to get the title right. And also tricky, but one that I made sure I learned how to pronounce properly before I did this recording, is her book that came out in October of this year, 2025, Chesed, out by PJ Publishing. So we will get into the stories of both of those books, which have very different paths to publication, very different sort of experiences, and then everything that's Karyn, and the good type of Karyn, which is wonderful. So before we get into that conversation, I will just give a word of a nod of a tip of the hat to our sponsor, Tealmore Press. For you to go and check out everything they have to offer at tealmorepress.com. Check out all of the 2025 titles, including the latest one, Butterfly Sea, as well as When the Sea Left and Fungi Are More Than Mushrooms. Check out everything that Tealmore is doing at tealmorepress.com. And now, without further ado, let's talk to Karyn.
Well, Karyn, I mean, first of all, thank you for persevering and coming on the show. We are so happy to chat with you this morning, so thank you for joining us.
I am so happy to be here. And your podcast is just a joy. I feel like I'm in a little mini writer's retreat after dinner at the table with the coffee and the cake, and we're talking craft, and you just make it so comfortable and welcoming for your guests.
Oh, Karyn, thank you so much. That's so sweet.
The funds for this paid testimonial should be in your Venmo account now. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Exactly what we're going for, though. Thank you very much.
You succeed fabulously, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us how you got into the kidlit world and writing and all of the stuff?
Oh boy, how many days have you got? I think I've loved story forever. I loved it in elementary school. I didn't want to be a writer. I'm amazed by people who knew it when they were kids. I just wanted to be a paid professional reader. Just give me all the books and pay me to read them, and I'll be really happy.
If only.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know if you thought this as well, but I thought that writers were built that way, and that when you read a story, it came right out of the brain perfect of the author, and there it was, and there was no crafting and not a lot of work. So to me, it was great audacity to be an author. But I did always want to write, but I didn't realize where I was going with it. When I was in what was called junior high, I used to write angry diatribes against teachers who I thought were wronging us. I was action-oriented. I actually started this petition in algebra, wrote a missive about how the algebra teacher needed to be replaced because I didn't understand algebra, and therefore it was his problem.
I love this. It's the teacher's issue, not yours.
Yeah, mine.
You're the victim, right, of poor education.
Victimhood.
Right.
I could still see the paper with the signatures, under the desk, passing it from person.
Oh my God. That's a book waiting to happen, Karyn. I want to see that protest book coming from you.
Action. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I stopped writing those terrible, wrong-headed diatribes against algebra teachers and studied engineering in college.
Oh, it took a hard left. Okay. So you must have learned math and algebra somewhere along the way. We went into engineering.
I don't know what I was thinking. My English comp teacher said, "Why are you doing this? Why aren't you studying writing?" And so I think that helped helped give me confidence. And I started writing, journal writing, when I was overseas in the Peace Corps, and I realized how much I love story and getting it all down. I just kept at it. Children's writing, I think, came when I was studying.
We'll bleep it out.
Yeah, that's my story.
You're skipping over some chapters in the story that I find quite fascinating. You studied engineering. You studied library sciences. You were in the Peace Corps. What's up with all those things? Did you see the engineering thing through? I mean, I'll start with the first thing you mentioned. Did you work in engineering? Because that's a super different mindset.
I'd have been thrown out. I don't have any idea what. I don't know why they didn't kick me out of the school. I was a typical terrible freshman. I studied math and science, I think, because I did have some aptitude, and teacher said, go for it. But I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And that's how I ended up there. And people, I was very lucky along the way, people guiding, saying, no, you should maybe be thinking about doing this. And the library science was because I knew I loved the books, and I knew I'd wanted to teach. I mean, I wanted to teach from the time I was in elementary school, because I absolutely loved being in school, right? So I taught for a while, and then I decided to get the master's in library science, and I absolutely adored the course in children's literature. But the introductory course to library science was begun by the professor who said, your future in library science is going to be deciding how to best utilize technology and bring it to your patrons. It's going to be all about technology. And I went, whoops.
So he wasn't speaking of you specifically. He was speaking in general.
In general. I shouldn't have listened. Maybe I shouldn't have listened, because technology he was prescient. He knew the future, and it really, grew in a tremendous way, and knew its importance. I don't think it was everything, and maybe I should not have listened as closely to him, but I really realized, the teacher with the children's lit and making us read hundreds of stories, I knew where my heart was, and I had to go in that direction. So, and the Peace Corps, that portion of the story was all about, oh boy, learning. People who are in the Peace Corps, they generally say you get more than you give. You learn so much about yourself and who you thought you were, and your place, in this one region where you grow up, and then you go into something entirely new, and you learn, wow, there's so much I don't know, and I want to know, and there's so much possible.
Just to zero in on Peace Corps stuff for a second, because I have the feeling that there's a certain mindset that you bring to being a Peace Corps person that informs who you are as a writer and as a person, but then also something that you get out of that experience. I mean, where were you stationed, and what drove you and what drove you to do that, and where were you in your life where that was possible for you?
Oh wow, really wonderful questions. So backstory a little bit. When my husband and I first met at that engineering school, we had talked about joining the Peace Corps, and that was just something we both knew we wanted to see the world. We didn't know exactly how, but that was something that was very appealing to us. And then we taught for a few years, and both decided we wanted to change. We didn't know what we wanted, and we said, oh, maybe this is the time to try the Peace Corps. And we were stationed in Malawi, Africa, which is in southeast. It's, if you know where Kenya is, and then you go south of Kenya to Tanzania, and just south of Tanzania, you find Malawi, where we were. And we were both we were both teaching. My husband is an environmental scientist. He was teaching chemistry, physics, maybe biology too. We were posted at a high school. And I had put in my application, I said, I'll teach anything, but please don't give me advanced mathematics.
Oh,
I'll start a petition to replace myself if you do that.
Right. Yeah.
So I taught advanced high school mathematics, and you get to see outside this very narrow lens that we grow up when we're in one place, and understand all the different ways to live, ways of being, and how to survive in really difficult situations. And I'm not talking about us. We weren't surviving in a really, the Peace Corps provided a wonderful umbrella for being and living there. I'm talking about the people who often, live in some pretty dire situations.
So,
I think if you'd ask a lot of volunteers, they'd say you don't really learn about where you're at, about where you're sent to until after the first year. You're trying to figure things out. Yeah. So we were there 2.5 years. We stayed an extra 6 months to help with the teacher training program.
This is taking a hard left,
Yeah.
but do you want to talk about your first, the sort of journey to first publication of your books?
Oh, sure,
I would love to hear all about that.
You got to acknowledge Joyce, of course.
Of course, Joyce, hello.
Amazing Joyce, what a champion. When Joyce is behind you, you feel a warmth and an ability to soar, right?
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
Yep, I do feel that.
Yep. They have a gift for bringing out the very best in a writer. And Joyce has been doing it for a long time, consulting for a very, very long time on manuscripts. And I've known Joyce for a long time. The story precedes our time together, my writing of the story, the first story that we sold, Otter Oughta Know. And
which is an amazing title, by the way.
Thank you so much. I was thrilled they kept it. I actually came up with that title.
Oh, amazing.
It's pretty central to the book, I think.
It is so central to the book. But I live in Florida and have lived here like 30 years. And so you can't live in Florida without having gator on the brain. I mean, that's just part of the life. And so many, many years. Should I start with the gator story first or the otter story first? Do you have a preference for which one I would tell first?
No, go either. Whichever speaks to you.
Whichever speaks. Okay, so I'll start with the otters. And
Okay.
I live in a suburban neighborhood, house after house after house, no wildlife really to speak of, cats and dogs and some birds. And no, there aren't gators everywhere. If your house, at the back of your house is on a retention pond, there might be gators in that, and then you might occasionally see a gator. But I don't live in an area like that. And I'm out for a walk in the neighborhood, one of my Saturday morning walks. This was years and years ago. And I look ahead, and I see something very low to the ground, sort of wobble walking. And I'm going, this thing is way too wide to be a cat, and it's way too wide to be a dog. And the gait of this thing, what the heck is this? So I slowly get myself a little bit closer because I don't know what I'm looking at. And I realize it's actually three creatures side by side, abreast, loping along. And it's otters in the middle of the street. And I'm going, what in the world are otters?
One of them had a toothpick. The other one was flipping a nickel.
Exactly what I'm
The other one was
thinking.
swinging a chain. Yeah.
I know. I had the exact. Right. This is how our brains work. I'm thinking, as these otters are going to cross the street, go up to a porch, get out the key, go inside, and sit in front of the TV and watch something good. And they were just so, as otters are, adorable, even though they are predators and they will do what they need to do. But anyways, they were adorable, and they stuck in my head. And all I could think about was like, wow, what wild adventures could an otter have in a very out of place setting where they don't belong? And that just festered or marinated in my brain for I don't know how many years, sat there. And then I'm going to backtrack to years before then when we first moved here, a new university being built. on land that had nothing else. And so one of the first buildings to go up was a library, and we all should cheer that one of the first buildings to go up is a library. Of course, the very best building, right? And so, on early mornings, people working at the university would see this alligator sunning itself right outside the front door of the library.
Oh my gosh.
And so they obviously had to move in. My husband occasionally did help move it. I don't know why they think environmental scientists equals alligator removal services. But in any case, I couldn't help thinking about, an alligator in an odd place too. And what a funny story.
He just wanted to get in, right? Like he just wanted to get in and read a book. Nobody would let him in.
I know,
right.
Poor gator. Maybe had a thing for the reference librarian. Who knew, right? And so that stuck in my brain. And then more years go by, and I'm listening to swing music. Don't need to go into all the backstory about why I'm listening to swing music, because I don't know much about swing music, but I'm just loving this beat. And I started hearing in my head otter and gator, and they went together with the beat. It's an otter, it's a gator, it's an otter, it's a gator. And then that's where the story started to take off, which happens a lot of times with my silly stuff, in that it's the sounds that I hear, the sounds and the playful rhythms, and I want to keep going with it. And in fact, as I was writing the story, I realized, are these sounds I'm creating, are they in service to the story, or am I actually making the story in service to the sounds I want to make? And so we know which one's going to fly, what you have to go for. So it was in later revisions where the sounds had to be in service to the story. And if they weren't, they didn't make it into the story so much. But the way that otter and gator and sounds came together, it's the way my brain works, meaning that if I can play and I can hear stuff, then I know I'm going somewhere. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I said that very eloquently.
No, I'll just reflect on that and what you said about your early time and your early conceptions of writers having stories spring fully formed from their minds. This is the vibe that I'm getting, is that this is how that happens for you. This is like the sound and the cadence and the rhythm is what makes a story makes a Karyn story come to life.
Sometimes. I don't know that I would say that the story definitely didn't come full-fleshed at all. I knew that I loved having the otter and the gator together, not only because they were an unlikely duo, and I loved the sounds, otter and gator, and I knew I had to play with that. But actually what was going to happen to them grew more out of playing with those sounds, otter, gator, water. And then my head was starting to go with, because of my background teaching elementary ed degree, prepositions. And so I started playing with the otter on the gator on the otter, under the water, however it, wherever it happened to lead me, I let it go.
Hey, let's take a quick break for a couple of reviews. Brenna's review for the week is for NUNU and the Sea by Isabella. This book says so much about big feelings, feeling alone, and how hard it can be to find your way back to calm in just a handful of words. Not to mention the artwork, which is dreamy and beautiful, while also being dramatic and action-packed. Brenna's review, in a word, is wow. My review has many more words to it. It is for ERNO RUBIK and His Magic Cube by Kerry, Aradhya, and illustrated by Kramer. As my little picture book audience gets older in our household, we seem to be focusing more on real-life bios and stories, and this one is a good one. RUBIK focuses on his interests in this story and not so much on the expectations of others, and finds his way in the world in a way that incorporates his passion for puzzles and shapes and geometry and architecture. More importantly is that it uses the Rubik's Cube's development as a way to relate resilience, adaptability, and problem solving. And Kara Kramer's art perfectly complements both Kerry Aradhya's storytelling as well as the eventual product of Rubik's ingenuity. It's colorful, it has twists and turns, and it's a visual puzzle to keep us engaged. I'm speaking both of the cube as well as the book here. And at the end of the book, it taught me something as well that I didn't know about the development of the cube. So go check out those two books, and also everything we have to offer and say and do and experience at our Linktree at linktree.com/verseshow, or on our website at verse.show. And without further ado, let's get back to our chat.
Like, so many things about what you said, like in terms of the musicality of the script and how that informed it. And then also both of us sort of wondering, where did Joyce come in? Like, how does, like, specifically, how does Joyce sort of work with you and your stories in order to sort of get them submission ready? And like, how do you guys work together is sort of what we were, commiserating about.
Oh boy, those are big and awesome questions.
That was a lot. Sorry.
No. Don't be sorry at all for that. It's a great and thoughtful question, and I'm going to try to answer intelligently about that question. So
we appreciate that.
Right.
Joyce and I have been together. We're in our 5th year, which is just amazing. They are.
Wow, that's incredible.
Awesome. Yeah. So how we work together, I think it's openness and flexibility and incredible receptiveness on Joyce's part. I don't mean to be vague. When I originally signed with Joyce, it was for a upper middle grade novel.
Interesting.
Yes. And we tried selling that, and we didn't sell it. Boo, hiss. Hopefully there is a future for the novel. It means a lot to me. The novel means a lot.
You'll be reading that novel in full for the Dead Manuscript Society in a little bit, right? You've got 18 or 19 hours for that, right?
Amazing. Well, we're gonna need a lot more storage for that, Josh.
Yeah, exactly.
I probably have, if you want. I don't know if I've saved them, but I'm a big believer in the need to read your stuff out loud lots of times. So I do have every chapter of that novel on audio somewhere.
Oh,
awesome.
I don't think you want it, but it's available. So Joyce also knew that I wrote picture books as well. And Joyce, so wonderful. So we were at the point where we weren't selling the middle grade novel, but getting a little love. I was doing sub opportunities and getting love for Otter. And Joyce said, let's pivot and send out Otter. And so we sent it out, and success. And now when we work together, similarly, we talk together about these are the projects, and this is what I'm thinking of about what might work, what to do next. And Joyce gives her input about, this one might be the strongest right now. This one might be better to left for either because the market is saturated with that. And then we go from there. It's very open. It feels flowy to me, not a stuck situation. I always feel as if my creativity is embraced, and I feel very comfortable going forward with projects with Joyce. I don't think I did full justice to the question. I hope that answered a bit of it.
Yeah, no.
You did, and I would corroborate that. I mean, while we were sort of in our break reconnect mode there, I was reflecting on how it feels very professorial and directional and supportive to work with Joyce on my end. And I imagine you have the same supportive sort of relationship with them.
Yes, and yes to all of your descriptions. I would absolutely describe it in that way. and the communication that they are always open for, free-flowing dialogue, communication back and forth about what to do next is so appreciated.
Yeah.
I just have a quick follow-up question, Karyn, about, so once you guys sort of decided, okay, let's pull the middle grade, like it's not quite doing what we want. What did the pivot look like? Because I know this about Joyce. They have been on the podcast, and I know several of their clients, Josh included, that they're very, very thoughtful about their submissions, which is part of what makes them so great to work with, because they really invest a lot of time and thought into what they're doing and the strategy of how to submit. So how quick, I guess, was that pivot? Was it sort of like, okay, let's have something out for you. If we're going to pull the middle grade, let's get something else out there. Or was it like, let's pull the middle grade, let's sort of sit on it for a minute, reconfigure, and move forward when we feel like the time is right? Or how did that look?
So in this particular case turn that off, sorry. In this particular case, the feedback that we were getting from the novel was polar opposite. Like, I love the voice, the voice.
That's so frustrating.
I wanted something quieter. This is not quiet enough.
Oh my God, because what do you do with that feedback, right? You're just like, well, that's like, I guess you do nothing, right? Like, if it's that polar opposite, you're like, well, I can't really do anything if, because then you're just sort of appeasing everybody else. It's like, well, this is the story. So
your choices are, you chase after that until you have enough data and it's with enough editors to build a sort of trend line, or you say,
totally.
This doesn't have a cohesive enough thesis, and you retool or take it.
You guys are great. Okay, you have an agent career ahead of you.
Yeah, right.
I mean, basically, that's Joyce's. Joyce said, we haven't got enough consistent feedback I don't feel comfortable telling you to revise when we don't, right? They were right. Yeah. And so I was up for a sub, and we went with the picture book that had gotten good feedback. And that did not take a long time to go from talking about no longer subbing the novel to the picture book. And that was simply a matter of timing in terms of where I was in the sub process more than anything else, if that makes sense also.
Yeah.
So shout out the publisher.
You mean for Otter?
Yeah, for
that's Otter. Scholastic.
What is Scholastic? I guess I didn't realize that.
Andy Lopez Sobrano took a chance on a brand new author and a brand new book. I am forever grateful.
Yeah,
and it was a delight to work with Andy.
I was gonna say, what was that like? I know her name, but that's about it. So yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah, it was wonderful to work with her. It was at the outset. So I'm from way back writing and practicing the craft for a very long time, and I remember the days in which the idea that an author would suggest an illustrator was absolutely unheard of, and the author was completely left out of that equation entirely. So you would find out sometime during the process who the author was that you were assigned. Anyways, what I'm getting at is that it's wonderful now where editors will say, hey, have you have people in mind that you're thinking about for this? And it makes so much sense because there's a vision, right, that goes along with writing a story and what it looks like. And Andy did that, and Joyce and I put our heads together, and shortly afterwards, Andy said, we're thinking Michael Robertson might be really good for this. Take a look at his portfolio. And nanosecond later, yes. Because his art is wonderfully perfect for it.
Vibrant, so yeah.
Vibrant, yes. Playful, joyful. He got the spirit of the story immediately. Yeah. So that was what it was like to work with Andy, being asked important questions and listened to, and asked questions that helped me understand what we needed to do to go forward with the story. So it was a great first time about, and working with Scholastic was amazing. They gifted me the opportunity to join Story Voice on World Read Aloud Day. So the the actual release, today is the anniversary birthday, 1 year of its release, which is amazing. But prior to the April release in 2024 for World Read Aloud Day, which was like the first week in February of 2020, we do a readathon, and they invited 7 authors to join Story Voice to read. And they asked if I would do Otter Oughta Know. Yeah, of course, to try to stop me.
Right.
It was the most beautiful gift of a way of introducing Otter to kids. I was lucky. Very, very, very lucky.
Very sweet, yeah.
So, happy anniversary. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
What does it feel like at this point to have a 1-year-old baby book out in the world? Is it what you expected? What surprises you? Or what does that life look like for Otter a year on?
It is amazing because, like, I don't know why I keep mentioning how long I've been in the business. I'm aging myself here.
We'll diminish that in the edit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Karyn, the newbie to the industry, hit it
She's
right out the gate.
22 going on retirement, but no, they'll have to take they will have to take my pen and paper away from me. I will never retire from writing. I absolutely love what I do. So when you get to be my age and you get your first book out, you're wondering is this really going to happen? And so when it really does happen, it is very, very sweet to have had this chapter in mind. Like you say, what was I imagining that it would be like? And what is it like to have it actually happen? It is so motivating. It makes your creative juices just pop because the possibilities seem much wider and much more open than, years and years of not getting a book out there. But the thing that I realized that I didn't know, what was most important to me once publication was reached, was readership is everything. Knowing
getting
that
it in
the
hands.
book, getting it in hands means more than anything else. You just don't want your book to sit on a shelf and not to find kids to enjoy it. So my greatest joy is when I find out that a young child loves it enough to want to memorize it in whatever fashion a young child memorizes a book, right? And then share it with the littles, sharing it with the largers in their lives is the most meaning to me, because one of the reasons we're here is to captivate, to have kids want to have stories in their lives and to embrace the joy of being with stories in whatever form it happens to be, reading, listening to, telling themselves. You want to be a part of that, and it's gratifying.
Yeah.
Karyn, you put wind in my sails. Thank you for saying that. I find recording these conversations to be so energizing for me, but the way that you present that energy is really nice and sweet. So thank you for that. Thank you for inspiring me.
Tears? You're going to make me cry.
I've had tears. We've had people cry on the podcast. That's what serious journalists we are, Karyn.
That's right.
Man, I can let my crybaby fly. Okay.
Hard-hitting questions.
We talked to Audrey Perot, who literally wrote a book about crying a lot. Moo-hoo.
Yeah, moo-hoo.
Shout out to Audrey.
It's wonderful.
Well, Karyn, because we've had you for almost 45 minutes now, and I don't want to not hear your dead manuscript. So if you would like to share it.
I'm going to try, but the way technology is going...
It doesn't work. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure we left time for it if it did work.
Yeah, for sure. And you sent it to us, but I studiously did not consume it because I love it when these things are surprises for us.
Ooh, okay. So I should say, don't think Otter, because it's not. This is not Otter at all. It's not Otter. It's not at all. It's not. And I think of this more as a cocoon manuscript rather than totally in the grave.
Oh, okay. I like how you said that. Yeah.
Because is it okay if I introduce a little bit before I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay, so in addition to the sounds of things, sometimes it seems like I start out with poems, writing something that I think is poetic, and then it eventually transforms. I'm not sure if this is quite in a transformational state yet, but I would like it. I would like it to be. And I'm going to, okay, that's enough. All right. So it's currently called Ari, the name, Ari Dreams. Yesterday thinks today is tomorrow, is what Ari says as Nana spreads honey on the muffin he puts into his mouth. In Ari's wakeful dream, he prances in and out of yesterday's tomorrows, somersaults across the minutes and cartwheels through the hours, spins around and around and around, melting into now. And when Ari and Nana lullaby to the creak of the rocking chair, time stretches like spider silk, hangs feather light and still. Nana holds onto his smell of bright spring petals and dreams of a vast and swaying sea of endless possibilities. Who will he be? What will he dream? But Ari laughs as he runs across the sand, catching plovers in one hand, brushing time away with the other, as if it were a fly in his face to be sent on its way, as if yesterday is tomorrow.
Wow. That was very, very poetic. Very, like, it made me sort of want to, like, slide along on the honey from the first stanza.
Mm-hmm. Very evocative.
Mm.
You said this is a cocoon story. You've done what with it?
What have I done with it? I have played with it. I've played with it with its form. It was a mother and child, but I thought the nature of time and the different standpoints, yin and yang, I changed it into a grandmother. And I'm not sure. I want it to be a picture book, but it's not there yet.
It is putting me in mind of one of my favorite picture books that could not be further from the vibe that I try to embody when I write. But Julie Fogliano's All the Beating Hearts. I don't know if you know that one, but it's come out in the last couple of years, and it's very, very meditative and dreamlike in a similar way. Ari Dreams is quite different from Otter Oughta Know, which I think speaks to your range for sure.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's very different. And the book that's coming out in October is a lyrical meditation. It's very different from Otter also.
Let's talk about that one.
I was going to say that is a perfect segue because tell us what's coming out so readers can listeners can keep an eye out for that coming in October. Yeah, tell us everything.
And I'm going to try and say what it is so that you can correct my bad pronunciation. The title of it is Chesed, and you made sure to let us know that the correct pronunciation's on the title. Chesed, is that right?
Close, very, very close. Chesed. Yes.
Okay.
So there's a little punctuation indicator but who would know this? That the H is actually similar to like the Lach in Loch Ness or Hanukkah. It's got the
back of the throat kind of a thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that back of the throat. Yeah, and it's Chesed. And it roughly translates from the Hebrew as loving kindness. And it comes out in October with PJ Publishing. I'm just absolutely thrilled about it. It's a board book, so it's really for the littles. And it's a meditation on how kindness grows community. And I'm thrilled. Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about PJ Publishing in previous conversations. I mean, what were they like to work with, and how maybe the experience is different, but certainly the scale and the sort of corporateness of it compared with working with Scholastic has to have been a different process for you and for Joyce.
Oh, wow. Thoughtful questions. You guys have been doing this a while, right?
5 years now.
Okay. Different. PJ is its own creation. Founder, Harold Grinspoon, back in like 2008. Thrilled by Dolly Parton's. What is it? Is it called Imagination
Library?
Imagination Library. Right? An incredible organization. So he thought, wow, I'd like to do this for Jewish families. Started very, very small. And I think it was in the Eastern Seaboard area of getting books out for free to any Jewish families who wanted them, to the point where now They give out 500,000 books per month.
A month? That's amazing.
A month. Isn't that unbelievable?
Wow.
And generous. It's an incredibly generous giving. I've wanted to be published with them for years. I love what they're doing and was absolutely thrilled when we got Chesed with them. And so I worked with Chris Barish, who's title acquiring editor, managing editor. I'm getting her title wrong. But I worked with her on the manuscript for a few months before the sale. She's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful to work with. You wouldn't think that a story of about 20 words that you could spend several months, but you can, right?
They're very precise words. Yeah. We know how it goes for sure.
Seriously, couple dozen words. Then the purchase, and then they found this illustrator whose art just makes my heart sing. Gabby Grant does the illustrations for the story. And it really came together very quickly because I think the contract was beginning of January 2024, and it's coming out in October of 2025.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Right? Amazing. Yes. So, not because I only write. I mean, this is also, it's a poem picture book. I don't only write with poetry, write lots of prose. But this is what I'm going out with for these two books. So we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, well, amazing. And thank you for coming on and sharing all that with us. And again, thank you for your perseverance to be on, to actually
through
be
technology
on the recording. It's been such a joy talking to you and hearing your
I've loved every minute, and I greatly appreciate you sticking with me despite. I'm going straight to those stores now to get these problems fixed.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Oh, good. Well, we'll put wind in your sails to go solve your technical issues. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great.
Thank you.